You've done everything right. You saved. You were careful. You put your money in the bank where it would be safe. And for years, that made sense. The bank was secure, your money was protected, and you could sleep at night knowing it was there if you needed it. But here's what they don't tell you, what they hope you never figure out. That same bank that's keeping your money safe is also keeping you poor. Right now, the average savings account in America pays about 0.5% interest. Some pay even less. Let's be honest about what that means. If you have $50,000 sitting in a typical savings account, you're earning about $250 a year. That's less than $21 a month. You can't even take your spouse out to dinner on that. Meanwhile, inflation, the rising cost of everything from groceries to gas to healthcare, is running at 3% to 4% or higher. So while your account says $50,000, the actual buying power of that money is shrinking every single year. You're not keeping up, you're falling behind. And the bank? They're using your money to make loans and investments that earn them 6%, 8%, even 10% or more. They're profiting off your caution. But here's the good news. The news that should make you sit up and pay attention. There are better options. Safe options. Options that are just as secure as your savings account, backed by the same government protections, but paying you 4, 5, even 6 times more interest. We're talking about high-yield savings accounts, certificates of deposit, and bonds. These aren't risky investments. These aren't stocks that go up and down. These are safe places to park your cash, and they pay you what you actually deserve for letting someone else use your money. This isn't about getting rich quick. This is about being smart with what you already have. It's about making sure that the money you worked so hard to save doesn't just sit there losing value. It's about respect. Your money deserves better, and so do you. Over the next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through 3 options, explain exactly how they work, show you the real numbers, and help you decide which one makes the most sense for your situation. Because this isn't complicated. It's just information. The banks would rather you not have, but you're about to have it. And once you do, you'll wonder why you waited so long. Let's start with the easiest move you can make today, high-yield savings accounts. If you've never heard of these, don't worry. Most retirees haven't. The big banks don't advertise them because they'd rather keep you in your regular account, earning almost nothing. But high-yield savings accounts exist, and they're offered by smaller online banks and credit unions that can afford to pay you more because they don't have expensive branch locations to maintain. Here's what you need to know. A high-yield savings account works exactly like your current savings account. You deposit money, it sits there, it's available whenever you need it. You can transfer it, withdraw it, write checks from it in some cases. The only difference is the interest rate. While your traditional bank might pay you 0.5%, high-yield accounts are currently paying between 4% and 5%. That's not a typo. 4 to 5%. On money that's just sitting there. Let me show you what that means in real dollars. If you have $50,000 in a regular savings account earning 0.5%, you make $250 a year. If you move that same $50,000 to a high-yield savings account earning 4.5%, you make $2,250 a year. That's $2,000 more every year. For doing nothing except opening a different account, that's $187 a month. That covers a utility bill. That covers groceries. That's real money that could be yours instead of going into the bank's pocket. And here's the beautiful part. It's just as safe. High-yield savings accounts are FDIC insured, which means the federal government protects your money up to $250,000 per account. The same protection your current bank offers. There's no catch. No hidden fees if you pick the right account. No risk. You're simply choosing to put your money in a place that respects it enough to pay you fairly. Now, I know what you're thinking. If it's so good, why doesn't everyone do this? Most people don't know about it. They've been with the same bank for 30, 40 years. They trust that bank. And that loyalty is being taken advantage of. The big banks are counting on you not shopping around, not asking questions, not realizing there are better options just a few clicks away. Opening a high-yield savings account is simple. You don't have to close your old account if you don't want to. You can start small, transfer $5,000 or $10,000. See how it works, see how you feel about it. The most popular high-yield accounts right now are offered by banks like Marcus by Goldman Sachs, Ali Bank, American Express Personal Savings, and Discover. These are legitimate, established institutions. You go to their website, fill out an application just like you would at any bank, link your current checking or savings account, and transfer money. That's it. Within a few days, your money is there, insured, accessible, and earning 4 to 5 times what it was before. One couple I know, both in their late 60s, had $80,000 sitting in a regular savings account for years. They were earning about $400 a year in interest. After learning about high-yield accounts, they opened one with Ali Bank. Same $80,000, but now earning 4.35%. That's $3,180 a year. They told me it felt like found money, like they'd been leaving cash on the table for years and finally picked it up. And they were right. That's exactly what it was. This is the easiest, most accessible move you can make. If you do nothing else after watching this video, at least look into a high-yield savings account. Your money deserves to work harder. And this is how you make that happen. Now let's talk about certificates of deposit, or CDs. You've probably heard of these. Maybe you even had one years ago. But what you might not know is that CDs are paying some of the best rates they've paid in over a decade. And for retirees who have cash they don't need to touch for a while, CDs can be one of the smartest, safest ways to lock in a guaranteed return. Here's how a CD works. You give the bank a certain amount of money for a certain period of time. Maybe 6 months. Maybe a year. Maybe 5 years. In exchange, the bank pays you a fixed interest rate that's usually higher than a regular savings account. The catch is, you can't withdraw that money until the term is up without paying a penalty. So this isn't for your emergency fund. This is for money you know you won't need right away. Right now, CD rates are excellent. You can find 6-month CDs paying around 4.5%, 1-year CDs paying 4.75% to 5%. Even 2-year and 3-year CDs are in that range. Compare that to the 0.5% you're getting in a regular savings account, and you start to see why CDs make sense. Let's use real numbers again. Say you have $30,000 you know you won't need for at least a year. You could leave it in your savings account, earning 0.5%, which would give you $150 over that year. Or you could put it in a 1-year CD earning 5%, which would give you $1,500. That's $1,350 more for simply agreeing not to touch the money for 12 months. And if you already weren't planning to touch it, you've lost nothing and gained over $1,000. Here's another advantage of CDs. They're predictable. When you open a CD, the rate is locked in. It doesn't matter if interest rates go down next month. You're guaranteed that rate for the entire term. That's peace of mind. You know exactly how much you're going to earn, exactly when you'll get it, and there are no surprises. For retirees who value stability, that's incredibly valuable. Now, the question you're probably asking is, what if I need the money before the CD matures? That's a fair concern. Most CDs charge an early withdrawal penalty, usually a few months' worth of interest. So if you pull your money out of a 1-year CD after 6 months, you might lose 3 months of interest. It's not the end of the world, but it does cut into your earnings. That's why CDs work best for money you're confident you won't need. Your emergency fund? Keep that liquid in a high-yield savings account, but money you're setting aside for a specific purpose, maybe a future expense, a trip, a big purchase, or just funds you want to grow safely, that's perfect for a CD. There's also a strategy called a CD ladder that many retirees use to balance access and return. Here's how it works. Instead of putting all your money in one long-term CD, you split it up. Maybe you put $10,000 in a 6-month CD, $10,000 in a 1-year CD, and $10,000 in an 18-month CD. As each one matures, you either take the money if you need it or roll it into a new CD. This way, you always have money becoming available every few months, but you're still earning those higher rates. It's a smart, simple way to stay flexible while maximizing your return. CDs are offered by almost every bank, both traditional and online. The online banks tend to offer better rates, just like with high-yield savings accounts. You can compare rates easily on websites like Bankrate or NerdWallet. Look for terms that match your timeline, check the rate, make sure the bank is FDIC insured, and open the account. It's straightforward, safe, and designed for people exactly like you who want guaranteed growth without any risk. One retired man in Michigan had $60,000 he was saving for his granddaughter's college in 3 years. He put it in a 3-year CD earning 4.8%. That's $2,880 a year, or $8,640 total by the time it matures. If he'd left it in his savings account, he'd have made about $900 total. That's nearly $8,000 in extra earnings just for parking the money somewhere smarter. That could cover textbooks, part of a semester, or even a nice graduation gift. Money that otherwise would have stayed in the bank's pocket. CDs aren't flashy, they're not exciting, but they're reliable, they're safe. And right now, they're paying you fairly for your money. If you have cash you don't need to touch for 6 months, a year, or longer, this is one of the best moves you can make. Now let's talk about bonds. This is where some retirees get nervous because bonds sound complicated. They sound like something only financial advisors or wealthy investors deal with. But the truth is, bonds are just as safe as CDs in many cases, and they can offer even better returns if you know where to look. So let me break this down in the simplest terms possible, because you deserve to understand this option too. A bond is essentially a loan. When you buy a bond, you're lending money to a government, a corporation, or a municipality. In exchange, they pay you interest, usually every 6 months, and when the bond matures, they give you your original investment back. The safest bonds, the ones retirees should focus on, are US Treasury bonds and highly rated corporate or municipal bonds. These are backed by the government or by stable, reliable companies, and the risk of losing your money is extremely low. Right now, US Treasury bonds are paying some of the best rates they've paid in years. Short-term Treasury bills, which mature in a few months to a year, are paying around 4.5% to 5%. Longer-term Treasury bonds, which mature in 10, 20, or even 30 years, are paying similar or slightly higher rates depending on the market, and the interest you earn from Treasury bonds is exempt from state and local taxes, which can make them even more attractive depending on where you live. Let's talk about a specific type of bond that's incredibly popular with retirees right now. Bonds, or Series Y savings bonds. These are issued by the US Treasury, and they're designed to protect you from inflation. The interest rate on I-bonds adjusts every 6 months based on the inflation rate. When inflation is high, your interest goes up. When inflation is low, it goes down, but it never goes below 0. Right now, I-bonds are paying around 5%, and that rate is locked in for 6 months at a time. Here's what makes I-bonds special. You can buy them directly from the government through a website called Treasury Direct. You don't need a broker. You don't need a financial advisor. You just create an account, link your bank, and purchase bonds. You can buy up to $10,000 per person per year in I-bonds, and if you're married, your spouse can buy another $10,000. That's $20,000 a year earning 5% or more, completely safe, backed by the full faith and credit of the US government. The catch with I-bonds is you have to hold them for at least 1 year before you can cash them out, and if you cash them out before 5 years, you lose the last 3 months of interest. But if you're looking for a safe place to park money for a few years, that's not a bad trade-off. And after 5 years, there's no penalty at all. You can cash them out anytime and keep every penny of interest you've earned. Now, let's talk about corporate and municipal bonds. These are bonds issued by companies or local governments to raise money for projects or operations. They typically pay higher interest than Treasury bonds because there's slightly more risk involved. Though if you stick to highly rated bonds, that risk is still very low. Corporate bonds from stable companies like Johnson & Johnson, Microsoft, or Coca-Cola can pay anywhere from 4% to 6% depending on the term. Municipal bonds, especially if you live in a high-tax state, can be even more attractive because the interest is often exempt from federal and sometimes state taxes. You can buy individual bonds through a brokerage account, or you can invest in bond funds or bond ETFs, which are collections of many different bonds managed together. Bond funds give you diversification, meaning your money is spread across dozens or hundreds of bonds, which reduces risk even further. The downside is that bond funds fluctuate in value based on interest rates and market conditions, whereas individual bonds, if held to maturity, guarantee you'll get your principal back. For most retirees, the simplest and safest bond strategy is to stick with US Treasury bonds and I bonds. They're backed by the government, easy to buy, and pay competitive rates. If you want to explore corporate or municipal bonds, consider working with a financial advisor or using a bond fund to keep things simple and diversified. One retired couple in North Carolina had $40,000 they didn't need to touch for at least 5 years. They put $20,000 into I bonds and $20,000 into a Treasury bond ladder, with bonds maturing every year for the next 5 years. They're earning an average of 5% across all of it, completely tax-advantaged with zero risk. That's $2,000 a year in interest, money they're using to fund a yearly vacation. They told me it felt like the smartest financial decision they'd made in years, and honestly, it probably was. Bonds aren't scary, they're just another tool, another option for keeping your money safe while earning a fair return. And right now, with rates where they are, they're worth serious consideration. So now you know the 3 options. High-yield savings accounts, CDs, and bonds. Each one is safe. Each one pays you far more than a traditional savings account. But which one is right for you? Let's talk about how to decide, because the answer depends on your situation, your timeline, and what you're comfortable with. Start with high-yield savings accounts if you want flexibility, if you need access to your money at any time, if you're building an emergency fund. If you just want the simplest possible upgrade from your current savings account, this is your answer. The rates are great, there's no lock-in period, and your money is always available. This should be your default for any cash you might need on short notice. Move to CDs if you have money you know you won't touch for a specific period. Maybe it's 6 months, maybe it's a year, maybe it's 3 years. If you can commit to leaving it alone, CDs will usually pay you a little more than a high-yield savings account, and you get the peace of mind of a guaranteed, locked-in rate. This is perfect for goal-oriented savings. You're setting aside money for something specific, and you want it to grow predictably until you need it. Consider bonds if you're looking at a longer timeline, if you want to protect against inflation, or if you're in a higher tax bracket and want some tax advantages. Bonds take a little more setup, a little more understanding, but they can offer the best combination of safety and return, especially if you're parking a significant amount of money for several years. And I bonds, specifically, are one of the best-kept secrets in safe retirement investing right now. Here's a strategy that works for a lot of retirees. Divide your cash into 3 buckets. Keep 3 to 6 months of living expenses in a high-yield savings account for emergencies and immediate needs. That's your safety net, always accessible, always liquid. Take money you won't need for 1 to 3 years and put it in CDs, maybe laddered, so something matures every 6 or 12 months. That's your short to medium-term savings, growing predictably. And if you have money you're confident you won't need, for 5 years or more, put some of it in bonds, especially I bonds or Treasury bonds. That's your long-term inflation-protected growth. This isn't complicated. It's just intentional. You're taking the money that's been sitting in one place earning almost nothing, and you're spreading it across safer, smarter options that actually pay you what you deserve. And the best part? You can start small. You don't have to move everything at once. Open a high-yield account with $5,000. See how it feels. Buy a 6-month CD with $10,000. Watch it mature and pay you. Purchase $1,000 in I bonds and track the interest over a few months. Build your confidence gradually, and as you see the results, you'll feel more comfortable moving more of your money into these better options. One woman I spoke with, a retired librarian in her 70s, started with just $3,000 in a high-yield savings account. She was nervous about changing anything after decades with the same bank, but after 6 months, when she saw she'd earned $150 instead of the $15 she would have made in her old account, she moved another $10,000. Then she opened a CD. Then she bought I bonds. Now she has her entire savings optimized, earning thousands, more per year than she was before, and she told me she felt foolish for waiting so long. But she also felt empowered, because she took control, she made a change, and it paid off. Let's be very clear about something. These are not investments in the traditional sense. You're not buying stocks. You're not speculating on crypto or real estate or anything that could lose value overnight. You're simply moving your cash from one safe place to another safe place that pays you more. The risk is virtually non-existent. High-yield savings accounts are FDIC insured. CDs are FDIC insured. US Treasury bonds are backed by the government. You're not gambling, you're being smart. And let's talk about what this really means for your retirement. If you have $100,000 sitting in a regular savings account earning 0.5%, you're making $500 a year. If you move that money into a combination of high-yield savings, CDs, and bonds averaging 4.5%, you're making $4,500 a year. That's $4,000 more every single year. Over 10 years, that's $40,000. That's not nothing. That's a new car, that's home repairs. That's peace of mind knowing you have a cushion. That's the difference between just getting by and actually living comfortably. You didn't save this money to watch it lose value. You didn't work your entire life to let banks profit off your caution. You deserve better, and now you know better. The only question left is, what are you going to do about it? So here we are. You came into this video with money sitting in a bank, barely earning anything, slowly losing value to inflation. Now you know there are better options. Safe options. Options that are just as secure but pay you 4, 5, even 6 times more. High-yield savings accounts for flexibility. CDs for guaranteed returns on money you don't need right away. Bonds for long-term inflation-protected growth. These aren't secrets, they're just information that most people never seek out. But you sort it out. You're here. And that means you're ready to make a change. This isn't about taking big risks or doing something drastic. This is about respecting the money you worked so hard to save. Respecting yourself enough to demand better than 0.5% interest. Respecting your retirement enough to make sure every dollar is working as hard as it can for you. You've earned that. You've earned the right to financial peace, to see your savings actually grow instead of shrink, to know that you're making smart decisions that will carry you through these years with dignity and security. Start today, not tomorrow, not next week. Today. Open a high-yield savings account. Compare CD rates. Go to Treasury Direct and look at I-bonds. Take one small step. Move. $5,000, $10,000, whatever feels comfortable. See how it works. See how it feels to watch your money actually grow, and then keep going. Optimize the rest. Build your 3-bucket strategy. Make your money work for you the way it should have been working all along. One retired veteran I know put it perfectly. He said, "I spent 40 years working for me money. It's about time my money started working for me." And he's right. That's exactly what this is about. You've done your part. Now it's your money's turn. Give it the chance to do that. Give yourself the gift of financial confidence. Because you've worked too hard, sacrificed too much, and come too far to settle for less than you deserve. Your savings account is not your friend. It's a convenience, and it's costing you thousands of dollars every year. But now you know better. And knowing better means you can do better. So do it. Make the move. Take control. And watch what happens when you finally stop letting the bank keep what's rightfully yours. Thank you for watching. If this opened your eyes, hit that thumbs up button. If you want more honest, practical advice that puts your retirement first, subscribe. I'll be here with more strategies, more truth, and more respect for everything you've built. Until next time, take care of yourself. Honor your hard work. And remember, your money deserves better, and so do you.